I'm Melanie Farkash, and I'm with Psychic Grannies. Coral. In 1978, I got a phone call from a woman named Coral. She said she needed a reading, and I asked her when she wanted to come over. She laughed and said she could not come over because she lived far away. Well, I said I can throw the cards while we were on the phone. I threw her cards, and to my surprise, it worked. She was very happy with the reading and called back numerous times. One day she called to say she was coming into town and would like to bring a friend in for a reading. The friend turned out to be an old acquaintance of mine. I gave them their reading and they left. But a couple of hours later, Coral called and asked if I could do a seance for her. We planned to get together the following evening. Coral brought Renee, two other friends, and we settled in with very good start. I felt feelings going on in the table, but then I started to get cold. Coral asked, "Will I speak to her dad?" I was able to contact him, and he told me something that only Coral knew. Nick names nicknames he had for her and her sister. Strangely, he asked her to move and leave Joshua Tree. I felt my arm being squeezed by unseen fingers, and when I looked, I could see the finger marks on my arm. I asked the spirit to reveal itself in some way. I could smell its aftershave lotion. Renee said she did not feel well and wanted to leave, so Coral and Renee quickly picked up and left. A few hours later, Coral called up and told me that Renee also smelt the aftershave lotion and was scared. She thanked me and said she would call after she got back to Joshua Tree. Coral and I kept in touch and became good friends. I was able to communicate with her over the phone with her and her father, Ed. Ed started to communicate with Coral by making her stereo turn on and off. Sometimes she would call to say nothing was happening. I could tell that Ed was not there. When he came back, he would tell me when he had been. Once he said he had visited Coral's brother, David, for the weekend. So she called David, and to her surprise, David said his computer at the store had been giving him trouble, as though someone had been controlling it. However, it was fine now. During our conversation one day, Coral said she wanted to move back to Los Angeles, but had no money. I suggested that she get together a group of people for my readings. I would split my earnings 50-50 with her. About 2 weeks later, she arranged a weekend of readings and said her friend Tim would ride up with me. That was fine with me. So I picked up Tim and off we drove to Joshua Tree in the middle of the desert. We got lost and stopped for directions, but finally arrived, and boy was I surprised. She had a nice house in a nice neighborhood. We had decided to make fried chicken, corn on the cob, and mashed potatoes to serve to the people. Well, people started to arrive by the dozen. There were so many that there was no place to sit. We were lucky to have enough food. During the third reading, we had a blackout, so we just sat and talked. I told them the source of the blackout was in Northern California near the Oregon border. But I said we'll never know what really caused the outage. About 2 hours later, the electricity came back on and we turned on the news. The news said it happened at a power plant in Northern California and they are waiting to hear the cause. We never heard. On our way home, Tim asked me some questions about his personal life. I explained to him that he must change his ways in order to change his life. He smiled and was silent the rest of the trip home. I did not know until many years later that Tim was bisexual with a very wild lifestyle. Due to his lifestyle and use of drugs, he ended up committing suicide. Explanation. This is a case of channeling, one who's able to communicate with the spirit world. The second event was my ability to be clairvoyant, which is the ability to see things that originate in another dimension. I could see where the blackout originated.